Well, it would probably help if I flipped up the camera and turned on the lights and made it less dark in here. How is everybody? Thunderman, how are you doing, mate? And also, how late is it? Welcome to the lab, mate. Good to see you. And Sorcery, our fearless, selfless mod, who puts up with watching these. Well, maybe it's a passive watch. The fact that you show up to these streams is enough to be like, you're the best. Phoenix, how you doing, mate? 715, 40 hours every day. If you wish to achieve Ling Ling status when it comes to programming, you must practice 40 hours every day. How is everybody? How are we doing tonight? Let's see here. Close that out. Close that out. Let's see here. We must. I'm a little rushed today. I just came off of. Oh, there we go. Just came off of kind of an onboarding orientation, so I'm settling in, getting prepared. Totally not prepared for stream, obviously, but we shall get there. Oh. By the way, if you are unfamiliar with the 40 hours every day shtick, that would be 2-set violin. So 2-set of violin. If you can check them out on YouTube. I cannot recall if they are on different platforms, but fantastic duo. It is a duo of classical violinists, and they are, for anybody, even if you are not a musician, how accessible their content is, but also how insanely hilarious their content is. It's like they merge in fantastic musical capability with just a charisma and a comedy that, I love it. So we must start the stream, as we have been doing for the last couple streams, with a cup of delicious organic Japanese matcha brought to you by Jade Leaf, available on Amazon. Oh, let's see here. It is Tuesday. How was everybody's weekend? Did anybody get into any shenaniganeries? Hopefully the safe time. As we get our matcha blend for today. Ours was a very calm weekend. Not a whole lot going on, just kind of a chill out and vibe type of deal. My last day for my previous job was Friday, and then I just started new job today. So for what feels like the first time in my career, I actually had a day off that wasn't like time off from the job itself, which was strange. And I feel like everything just kind of kept churning. I messed up my sleep schedule, that's all. I mean, I can never get on people for having a messed up sleep schedule, because I had a messed up sleep schedule for like a decade and a half. So, you know, I can never discredit, or I can never blame anybody for that happening. Let's get the water poured in. I was having a number of thoughts in regards to stream, because that is mostly just what I do these days. Stream is like always on the brain. It's fantastic, because I just love hanging out with you guys. Being in the lab is a fulfilling and exciting process. But I was thinking about where the Twitch bot should go or can go, and there's a number of ideas kind of flowing through my head. There's some front-end work, some kind of like web UI type stuff that I was thinking might be interesting. There's a bunch of deployment items that we could go over, just kind of like getting a a build server setup, or even just taking one that's already hosted and run with that. I do realize that I did not set up the EKS cluster, but that's okay. Because whether we actually use that today or not is still to be determined. Fantastic. Yoink. There's a lot of stuff that we could do for this application. Definitely some ideas that have been flowing in moderating for a couple of other streams, kind of watching some of the feature functionality that exists in other bots and going like, I wonder how hard it would be to implement that. So a bunch of those types of ideas that we could potentially dive into. Let's see here. I want to do something. I'm still trying to figure out the we'll call it the Streamlabs setup here, because I really like Streamlabs. Here we go. Let me see if that. Oh no, it doesn't. Okay. Well, that's okay. I wonder why Stream Elements, or why the Stream Deck is having so much trouble with these scenes now. Let's pop this onto here. All right, you can see the little window in the back. My apologies, but hey, we're gonna pop that over there. Let's see here. And I did want to do a quick audio check. So I attempted to wrap in music into the background last time and didn't quite succeed, it turns out. It turns out that I actually just, Lord knows where that music was going. It just kind of disappeared into the ether that is my Mac. But just wanted to do a quick sound check, make sure that was all right. I had beds 2:30 a.m. Oh my goodness, Thunder. Well, thank you so much for stopping by, mate. It is always a pleasure having you. Please get some good sleep, and we will see you next time. Have a good one, mate. You think MacBook Pro 2015 is still good for coding? My dude. Hang on. Where is my MacBook? Oh, it's over here. Haha. I still use my my 2015 MacBook. That MacBook has kept me going for, and I used it daily as a daily coding machine for quite some time. So definitely worth a look. And not to mention, the 2015 MacBooks were cheaper. They've only gotten cheaper. I think they finally kind of came down off of that kind of hype train that they were on. I want to say it was somewhere around the 2018, when the 2018 MacBook Pros came out. All of a sudden, the 2015 MacBooks just like shot up in both popularity as well as price. Worth buying now? Me personally, I say yes. If you can get an i7 2015 MacBook Pro, this is, so specifically, I'll just kind of go through my daily driver real quick. This is the 15-inch mid 2015. It is the Core i7 16 gig model. Well worth, in my opinion. And if you can get one with an SSD, please do. It makes a huge difference. And in terms of daily driving, like, this machine was my daily driver for back-end development, front-end development, a lot of the Dockerization efforts that I was going through. Hell, it even ran a small, what do you call it? A small Hadoop cluster inside of Vagrant. Like, it struggled to do it, but it did it. So I personally highly recommend those MacBooks. That's exactly the one I'm buying. Fantastic. Always got to give a good shout out to the 2015 Macs. The newer Macs are nice, but at the same time, like this 2018, or I think is a 2019 Mac, the MacBook that I'm using for work. The only reason that I really like it is because I have dongles out the ass to get it connected to my screen, my keyboard, like my whole setup. So Absolutely, FS, and or F Society, and welcome to the lab. By the way, thank you so much for stopping by. Let's see here. I'm gonna try my best to not miss some of these notifications. We'll see how well that works. But can it run Crisis? Doll, I don't know if anything can run Crisis anymore. Like with the remake, oof. I love that meme is still a thing, and even the Crisis developers were like, hey, you know what would be awesome? Can it run Crisis settings mode? Oh my goodness. Okay, let me grab the whiteboard real quick. Close that out, bring this up, and okay, let's see if I can do this. Let me put secret screen up for just a moment as I get this board set up, which for if there are any new viewers on the stream, which F Society, welcome. So I use the, there we go, let's mute that. I use Zoom, and through Zoom, I do a screen share of my my iPad, and we use that as a whiteboard, a kind of a janky whiteboard, admittedly, but it kind of sort of gets the job done, I think. Screen mirror, let's get that mirrored. Let's put that right there, and let's bring, oh, I think it was this one. Yeah, there we go. All right. So we have done a lot up to this point. So quick summary. So we are building a Twitch chat bot using the IRC protocol. And at this point, so we are building this in Golang. And we have connected to the chat. We are connecting to our chat room here. And I've actually been using this for other channels as well to kind of collect entries, to collect data. And it's working flawlessly at this point. We have we had ping pong, although I did notice this morning that based on our bot abstraction that we started to create, ping pong is currently not working. And where we left off last time was kind of figuring out how we wanted to actually implement ping pong in this bot abstraction. We did have command responses, so we'll come back to that. We Dockerized it, but in a very kind of base form. So I was asked if I would do a kind of an update to the Docker file to show what a real Docker file would actually look like. Good to see you streaming, commence lurking. Welcome, Maid. Welcome back to the lab. Good to have you. Let's see here. So Dockerization, we still need to figure out the access token process, which, as I believe it was 715 pointed out, if I remember correctly, we do have to use what is effectively the manual authorize process. We might go through that just a little bit, but in a nutshell, there's an access token and a refresh token that we could potentially use to automate that token refresh. We'll see if that actually works or not. There was an idea that was to write a command that brings up a GIF with sound, and I had a couple ideas that popped up around that, so we may dig into that. We've got random quotes, so feel wherever you may be in spirit, this was for you. The absolutely terrible quote system that exists inside of Streamlabs, Sorcery can kind of attest. It seems like it just hovers around the same quotes all the time. It's weird. I'm not entirely sure how they do randomization for those quotes, but so something to potentially look into. The UI element would be more of just kind of putting a face onto this bot instead of reading log lines in a log file. Maybe considering something to the effect of a UI, and that would also give us the opportunity to see, hey, here's some front end development stuff. How do I do it? It might be a little different than what you would typically find in a front-end team, but hey, the whole point is to sit here and watch me struggle with stuff that is outside of my comfort zone, so why not? And then lastly, the auto greeter. I'm not entirely sure that this is plausible, at least not in an easy fashion, but something that I was considering. Is there a way to automatically greet somebody as they come into the stream? As far as I could tell, there is no IRC announcement for a join, at least not one that is broadcasted to non-admins, which in my case, I am not an admin on the Twitch IRC, so there might be a little something to that, or maybe it's a capability request that I haven't made. I'm not entirely sure. There are IRC joins? Okay, so something to potentially look into. Possibly. Let's see here. But people actually don't like that? Yeah, it's kind of fair. I'm not entirely sure if auto greeter would really be something that I would want to keep long term. It just kind of, it turns into that like, hey, welcome to the stream, but it's a robot, so it's like, hello, welcome to stream. Yeah. I don't know that we would implement that here. Although it would kind of fit the idea of the lab. Maybe if we can make the auto greeter act like GLaDOS? I don't trust front-end developers. I never will. They are very suspicious. You know, Doll, I think front-end developers say the same thing about back-end developers. It scares the lurkers away? Yeah, so I'll go into this a little bit. My thought for the auto greeter was not so much to rely on join commands. I was more so relying on waiting to see if that person chats. So it would be kind of like receive a chat from a user if that user is not in some cache of greeted users, then send that user a greeting. If they never say anything, as far as the auto greeter is concerned, they never joined. But like, receiving the IRC joins, I feel like I would not actually broadcast to those people. I would more so just like use that as a, hey, people that could potentially be greeted, drop that into a slice, and then as people start to chat, pop one off the queue, send them a greeting, and then kind of keep on going. But ideas, many ideas. Let's see here. And actually, just to call it out, we have already researched the OAuth token for IRC login. We do still have exponential backoff and retry tactics. So this will be around when the bot connects, and if for some reason the bot gets disconnected, i.e. flaky internet, flaky network, that kind of thing. And then there is the processing of IRC tags. So I didn't get very far with looking into tags. The only thing that I really saw that I would need maybe in tags is if I wanted to re-implement the name coloring that Twitch's website has. But I'm not sure. Not quite sure just yet. So we'll see. I'm going to put in a headphone monitor real quick. I have stream up on the trusty MacBook, so I would like to at least have some kind of an audio cue. Oh, that'll actually be terrible because now I can hear myself, but in a delayed fashion. Nah, can't do it. All right, so let's quit out of that. In meeting for all, goodbye. And that was just a random zoom, so you weren't actually glimpsing anything. Sorry. All right, so we were last time working on this bot abstraction. So at the moment we have the IRC client, which at this point has most of the low-level feature functionality that we currently need. for an IRC, for an IRC client. And then we also started to add things that were kind of abstractions, convenience abstractions on top. So whereas we have a kind of a generic read and write function, as long as you give it this message struct, it will write that to the console. It'll write that to the WebSocket connection, and off it goes. But then we started to add a bunch of things like send pass, send nick, join, priv message. And I was thinking about this. I think it does make sense to have these things. I don't think the to-do really applies anymore, personally, because all this really is an abstraction over the kind of common commands that we would be sending from an IRC perspective. So we're hiding the details of the message struct. We're hiding the details of what the specific command is that we're sending to the IRC. So this effectively becomes our public API, if you will. The thought, though, was that, well, if we are indeed doing so, then do we really want to expose the low-level write API? I'm leaning towards no. I'm leaning towards write being an unexported method. So in other words, just doing like that. And then the only way to access that is inside of this IRC package, if I remember correctly. Or actually, I think unexported is in the file itself. Something to look into. And then effectively our bot, which if we go over to bot.go, so in bot.go, if I recall correctly, we use connect, close, send pass, send nick. We do use read, which is pretty standard. Send message is currently not doing what we expected it to, but then again, send message is not really implemented in the way that we want it to either. We do have read chat, which we started to build, which was from last time. And then we had our ping pong function. Okay. So I'll be perfectly honest, I actually forgot most of the context for our ping pong discussion from last time, so might take a bit of a refresher there. And then let me also double check main.go, because I believe main.go does not use the write function either. So yeah, I think it makes sense to turn the write command into an unexported method. Write, and then we want to replace that with write. So now that it's an unexported command, effectively that means that it's not accessible to external parties, which is probably a good thing. Not particularly great for debugging direct commands, mostly because like if we just wanted to send a command directly onto the wire, we wouldn't be able to do that unless we created a proxy back to this write method. But I think that's okay. I think we're past that point where we're really going to need it. I know. Famous last words. Developer says that he will not need a debug method. But I think we're at a good point to where we could probably reasonably lock that down. I think. But we'll find out. Connect, read, and write. And because the message struct is used externally, we can't turn that into an unexported struct. So we'll leave that as it is. All right, so let's pop over to bot. Oh, bot did indeed have a I'm silly. So basically, rewind everything that I just said, possibly, because the bot does indeed send a flat command. It sends the ping pong, sends the sends the pong command. Alternatively, though, we could still leave that as a as instead of having write, you could potentially just do something else. Let's see. Send pass and Nick join priv message, or we could just say func IRC send Pong with the body as a string. This can return an error. And more or less what we want is prefix command is Pong, message is, I think in this case we just want just the body as is. I don't think we want to do anything special with that. Send Pong, I want to say send Pong. Let me just tap that over there so I have it. Send Pong responds to the ping heartbeat with the given body. And I'm choosing for this to be a little more generic because I don't think that ping pong is necessarily IRC. I could be 715. Is that correct? Is ping pong an IRC construct? I could have sworn that IRC had a heartbeat, but I can't recall if it was ping pong. Message.params. So we do something like that. Send Pong failed. Save that off. IRC has no field. Oh wait, no, it's send Pong, not send Nick. Send Pong. There we go. Right? Yeah. Okay. Now, though. Yes, okay, I remember this. So where we had this code before, if I go into main.go, this is indeed still here. Previously, we had this Go routine set up that constantly read from the IRC client. It read from the connection itself. And so more or less what that allowed us to do was, as messages were coming in, it was effectively all being processed through a single stream. It was a single Go routine that was reading from the chat and then performing various processes accordingly. So in our case, we had, okay, if it's a priv message, parse out the priv message, respond to commands, so on and so forth. But we also in here had the logic for ping pong, which at that time, ping pong was just part of the if command equals priv message block. It was in here. And that worked all well and good, but when we moved it into the bot, now we kind of have this idea of, well, bot is absolutely going to be doing some things. It's going to be doing some, what do we want to describe this? How do we want to describe this? It's doing its own processing, but then it's also basically giving a window into those chat messages, so that using the bot, we can read from chat, but we can also perform our various processes like responding to commands, responding to ping pong, potentially doing other things with that data. There's a whole host of opportunities that we could do. However, we can't read from that same connection multiple times. And I think this is where 715 I think this is where we were chatting last time. So I think the thought, and let me, and of course I put the whiteboard away. Let me get the whiteboard back up. New meeting, and I don't want to connect via audio. I just want to share screen, and I want to connect via screen mirror. Let's put you down there, and let's bring that off. Okay. Excuse me. Let's get a new page here. So what I was thinking is something to the effect of, we have on the other side here, we have our IRC. So this is Twitch. This is the Twitch server. And our WebSocket connection is effectively a bidirectional arrow going to for us sending messages to IRC and then coming to us, which is messages coming from IRC. So that's coming into the client, which is more or less wrapped by the bot. And so what the bot is doing is the bot is calling read. All right. So whenever there's a message that shows up on the IRC, because the client is reading that message gets sent to the client. There's only one copy of that message. So if you try to read again, you're not going to get the same message multiple times, which is the point that 715 was making. So effectively what we need to do is we need to receive the message from IRC, read that message with the bot, and then we can do something like what in the concurrency world is called fan out, ... So that message is read by the bot, but then the bot is responsible for broadcasting that message to various consumers. And for example, one such consumer could be a ping pong consumer. And the ping pong consumer, the only way that you can interact with the client is through the bot. So the bot is going to send messages to these consumers. Those consumers are going to effectively have to be able to send messages back to the bot. So if we had, let's use something a little less generic. Let's get rid of consumer here. Let's say that we had our ping pong consumer and we had our command tower, which is what I am tentatively choosing to call that feature. So in the command tower, you would have a series of chat commands that this bot would respond to. And so, yes, I know. A developer naming things. Surprise, surprise. So the command tower would receive a copy of that message, and all command tower would be responsible for doing is, if this message starts with insert command that I am looking for, then that command tower would respond in kind, or maybe it wouldn't respond in kind. Maybe there's nothing that happens. Who knows? With ping pong, same thing. Ping pong will receive a copy of that message. If it's not a ping message, well, then ping pong is just going to ignore it and it'll just keep processing accordingly. But if it is a ping message, then it will send back to the bot, hey, send to the server Pong. So I'm kind of getting a little bit of a bidirectional process here. It can either be a bidirectional process or the bot can just send a copy of itself. It kind of depends on how we want to do the processing. So one possible implementation, or at least a possible implementation idea, is there's the bot, there's your consumer, and then in between them, There we go. Is a bidirectional channel. And this is a channel of message. Maybe. The problem with it being a channel of message is that more or less makes the consumers aware of the IRC client. We'll probably have to make a trade-off. We'll have to play the trade-off game effectively as to whether or not that's ideal for us. But this, remember that this message is a struct inside of the IRC client. It's not inside of the bot. So we kind of have to make a decision of, is the bot an abstraction to our consumers, or is the bot just an abstraction or is the bot just a middle bot? Yeah, there we go. Or is the bot just a middle bot in between the command tower and the client, and ping pong and the client? Kind of makes you wonder if it's not going to be an abstraction of the IRC client, then really what's the point of having this here? Or even more specifically, what's the point of bot having things like priv message or some of those abstractions over actually sending messages to the stream? Is there even a point there? So there's a number of different paths that I think we could go down. The other, just to call it out as well, which of course I kind of went down that path and then forgot to finish the thought. The other option, so if we call this option A and we call this option B, bloody flies in here, I swear. So we have our bot and we have, no. We need to keep consistent color schemes. Otherwise, if your color scheme differs, like if you're doing a presentation and you have a slide and all of a sudden the color scheme differs from slide to slide, people get angry. You don't mess with your color schemes in the middle of the slide. Or maybe you do, just to piss people off. Depends on how chaotic evil you are. So the other option here is that instead of a bidirectional channel, the bot could just pass an instance of itself, a copy of itself, to the consumer. So this is when we're setting up a Go routine. So we have Go Func. Well, inside of that Go Func, you could have a copy of the bot. So more or less, you could have something that you could basically just pass an instance of the bot along to the consumer, and then to interact with the chat, to interact with the rest of the world, you effectively just do bot dot and then whatever method you need to call to implement your functionality. Bringing OBS over here for just a second. Damn front-end devs with their love for color schemes. Doll, I get the feeling that you might have some angst towards these front-end developers. Did you have a bad time with front-end developers? Oh no, I appear to have lost chat again. Oh man. Let me do a pop-out chat instead. There we go. Again, I'm actually trying to use the chat here on my laptop, but every time that I attempt to use chat on the laptop, it keeps disconnecting me. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe it's because I'm lurking. Technically speaking, I'm lurking even though I'm the broadcaster. Details. Okay, so we have a couple of options. We have a couple of things to consider here. So definitely for ping pong, we do absolutely need something that sets up this this channel and sets up this this Go routine to run ping pong. Oh yeah, okay. I'm gonna be a little bit lazy, just a little bit lazy. Please don't chastise me. Please don't chastise me. You're probably gonna chastise me, but that's okay. Because I really just didn't want to join and then immediately turn it back into a slice. That just seemed unnecessary. So perhaps body is just a slice of string for the time being. For the time being, make it work, make it right, make it pretty, in that order. That's my excuse. I'm sticking to it. Okay, let's see here. We don't call them the cleaning. Doll, I'm loving this narrative. I'm just saying. Okay. What if we did... You know what? Let's start with ping pong. Let's see what ping pong would look like. So for one, we need bot.pingpong. So we need a Go routine. Go routine is going to invoke ping pong, and it's going to listen on this message channel. Now, this oh yeah, we actually did want to call this message Chan. I have personally seen message Chan or blah 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 Chan used as a naming convention to indicate, hey, this thing that you potentially are interacting with, this is a channel. Why do we say Chan and not channel? Typing the additional 3 characters is silly. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. So I think it does make sense to have a channel of irc.message. And then what we can do is we can say bot.message Chan equals message Chan. Message Chan. There we go. And so what that would do is it would give us a what's the term I'm looking for? Oh, hang on, sorry. Boop. Let's move that down there. There we go. I just realized that my Zoom link was just kind of hanging out there. So this way we could have a reference to this message channel. Although I don't think that we don't need to do that. Yeah, we could just do it here. Message Chan is make Chan irc.message. That way it's part of the instantiation, so we don't have to remember to instantiate it. And then we could say bot.message channel, although now we don't actually have to do that. Yeah, we don't have to do that. There was a brief pause in my brain where I was like, but will we need to have that accessible for testing purposes? And I think the answer is no. Since new is doing nothing but creating a client and instantiating the message channel, it's not ideal, but we could just turn that into we could just say type bot struct, and then we could do our testing through that. So I don't think there's too much that we lose by doing that, which then that means we can delete to here. We want to say bot.message Chan message channel. And so now in theory, we are receiving messages off of this channel. If it is a ping, then In this case, our consumer is just a function inside a bot. So we just call the bot.client.send Pong directly. So that kind of fits more into the idea that if a consumer only exists inside of the bot, then more or less we just keep adding handlers, if you will. Very similar to how we add handlers onto a HTTP server. We could just add handlers onto the bot, somehow subscribe that handler to the message stream, and then we could have our handlers distributed and they wouldn't all be inside of the bot, which I kind of like that idea. A subscription model sounds interesting. Very similar to how in Go, when you have a HTTP server, you can, if you pass that around as a struct, so if you had a, I'll just do as an example here, type server struct, and then as long as you have access to the server struct, i.e. if you're in the same package or etc., you can do in more or less any place, server, and then you could add your routes, so handle auth route, and you could just write that logic elsewhere, which is quite nice. How exactly is the bot receiving messages at the moment? If the bot is only waiting for messages until notified, would it be the case for something like an observer pattern? It's kind of similar to an observer pattern. Possibly a visitor would make, well, no, it's not it wouldn't be a visitor. Yeah, it would be more of an observer. So how it is receiving messages, the main function is currently the one that starts that process. So we initialize our bot, and then we immediately call bot.connect. And as soon as we call bot.connect, that's where we connect to the IRC and we start reading messages from that client. Now, the intent here, though, is that I do need to implement this read chat function. This will be the Go routine that is actually reading messages from the client. So, in fact, thank you for reminding me. Let's go ahead and implement read chat. So let's do that, get rid of that, and let's go down to the bottom. Oh, we already have read chat. Heh. Okay, so delete to boop. And let's see here. So, read chat, message error equals bot.client.read. If error does not equal to nil, blah, blah, blah. Otherwise, change word, bot.messagechan, send to the message channel the message that we just received. So in theory, that's all we would have to do, except that we still have the problem of if we put it onto the channel and then a consumer reads it off of the channel, well, that message is gone. We've not really implemented any kind of broadcast functionality. So what we really need, undeclared name, bot.readchat, not read chat. There we go. So what we really need is that glue. We need that that broadcast glue to make this work properly. And let's see here. One possibility is that we could just have a slice of channels. I'm not entirely sure if this is optimal. Actually, let's look at something. There was an idea, or I should say, there was a reference. Gorilla WebSocket. That's not what I wanted, but sure. Gorilla WebSocket has an example. It's an example chat client, which is super cool to begin with. And what they had was this idea of a hub. And the hub is effectively the what we are kind of implementing at the moment. We are implementing a hub of sorts where messages are coming in and then a series of clients are receiving a broadcast of those messages. They're actually doing a map of client to Boolean. I don't think that really makes sense for us. Inbound messages from the clients, and then register requests from clients, unregister requests from clients. Okay. And then if we get a message, then it does that. Now, in this particular case, this is more of a... It's not quite the pub sub style that we're really looking for. But what I was looking for was to see if they have... if they had anything similar. And I thought they did. Because there's chat. Command, I don't think was really a thing. I don't think we really needed anything there. No. I don't recall what I'm... let's see here. Golang. I mean, I know I can have a slice of channel. But I can't recall if that was a good idea. But all the channels would be nil because you effectively have to instantiate them, initialize them. Details. For Chan 5, you don't want to repeat yourself. You would have to iterate over it and initialize each element. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I'm not really seeing anything. What I was worried about was that making a slice of channels was a bad idea, but I couldn't recall why, so I wanted to look it up. But it does at least look like that it's a thing. So yeah, let's see. So this would be the primary message channel. The question, though. So this is where I'm starting to question the possibility of a consumer. MPMC, multiple producer, multiple consumer. It's effectively what we're trying to do with channels. Let's see here. Let me think. Oh, let me actually quit out of that and bring up it. I tried to bring up a new window, but Firefox just brought them right back up. That's okay. Golang concurrency patterns, and I thought the Tor had something similar. Fan in, fan out, which is not quite what we're doing. We're doing more of a broadcast. Parallel digestion, maybe. Bounded parallelism, not really what we're looking for. So in terms of there is a possibility conceptually, if I bring the... Let me see if I can make this smaller. Yeah, there we go. Let me bring secret back up. Share. Let me bring the whiteboard back up for a sec. Okay. Multiple consumer, single producer. Kind of, yeah. And that I think is where, in terms of this implementation, let's actually, since we more or less kind of standardized on option A, it seems. Well, actually, we kind of standardized on a hybrid between the two, so that's not technically true. But yes, you're correct. It's more of the single producer, multiple consumer. And then there's a bidirectional communication mechanism for each of these things. So it's kind of sort of similar to what the Gorilla WebSocket example of a chat client was doing. except that it's only you can't send a message up to the hub and then have that hub broadcast it to all others. Again, though, we could just not have that bidirectional behavior. So trade-off on implementation. What I'm thinking as an initial first pass is that let me actually bring the code back up. So let's say the bot here exists in this file. And then let's say that we had another file called bot pingpong.go. And let's go ahead and get ping pong in there so that we can bring ping pong up. Why does it need to be bidirectional? I don't know that it does. Code in this workspace failed. If you believe this is a mistake, do a thing. Okay. So this is package bot. Oop. COC might be going bonkers here. But what I was thinking was something like this. Bot. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this would actually work or not. Let's see. And then handle ping pong. What it could do is we could have our select, and then case message is a receive off of bot dot message chan, which I think I will have to expose that. Case message equals, and then here we could just do our processing as normal. So if message dot command equals ping, then bot dot send Pong may not make sense in the way that we've written it up to this point, but if we do like that, close the select. So more or less, this is just moving that code somewhere else so that bot doesn't get massive. And then all it's doing is reading from message chan. The problem, though, with this, there's actually two problems. Number one is that the bot would have to be aware of these types of messages, or these types of handlers. So we'd have to have, similar to how HTTP server works, we would have to find a way to initialize all of these things, which I'm not entirely sure how to do just yet. Maybe 715. The idea of a handler is kind of where my brain was starting to go. But in order to have a handler, you would have to have some kind of an init function so that this handler is actually registered onto the bot. Which maybe that's just part of the main function, so we can effectively enable or disable functionality from the main function. So maybe instead of it being a handler like that, maybe it would be we have a reference to the bot that we're supposed to be working with. That's one option. So this is more of the pull approach. So this handler would be pulling messages from the bot, which doesn't really work as well in the format that we're trying to go to. Otherwise, we could say register ping pong. Which has some kind of register handler. Channel. So it'd be something like message chan is a... This is the other direction that we could potentially go. So this is more of the kind of HTTP handler approach, where the bot would have a register handler function, and the function expects this whatever channel it's going to be given. So the bot could manage those channels. The bot would be responsible for creating the channel, passing the channel in, and then that channel would be used to send communication to all these different handlers. But I'm starting to ponder whether that would actually make sense either. But this idea, this kind of thought bubble that I'm currently running into, would be more of the push semantic, where the bot would be given a handler of some kind, and the handler would describe what it wants to do. But then instead of the handler constantly polling for messages, or pulling for messages from the main bot channel, it would have a slightly different, well, no, actually it would be the exact same mechanic, because then here it would just be handle ping pong. Yeah, I think I'm getting a little jumbled on my ideas. I've actually never seen this. Is it usual to pass functions as arguments in Go? Is it usual? Depends on the people. On the team. 715 is correct. It's because I like functional programming. I am a very big fan of being able to pass functions around, and so if there's a situation where it makes sense to hand the function to the bot, which you do see this this approach often being used in the visitor pattern. So where you're effectively telling the bot, hey, I want you to visit something, and here's the work that I want you to do when you visit that, when you visit this thing. So that's a possibility. Alternatively, I just thought of something. Instead of a message chan, why wouldn't we just receive the message? Right? So if we receive the message, then we could just handle the message this way. So we would move this up here. Oop, too far. Uh-oh. Nah, one more. Aha. So what this would allow us to do is, registering the handler, we are effectively just registering a function. Hannylicious and Raiders, welcome. Holy crap, how are y'all doing tonight? Welcome to the lab. Welcome to the wonderful world of attempting to build a Twitch bot in Go. The level of success for that is up and down, but welcome everybody. I know, oops, Hanny. Give you a quick shout out. More, a fellow science and technology streamer. Hello, hello. Welcome. Let's see here. A quick overview, just a real quick. I'm back. Oh, hello, F Society. Can the 2015 handle Photoshop and VS Code? I can attest to VS Code. I cannot attest to Photoshop, unfortunately. Is there a reason for Go or just learning it? Go was one of has very quickly become one of my favorite languages. For my day job, I am mostly jumping back and forth between Java, JavaScript, Scala, kind of the JVM stack plus JavaScript. I have a very long history as a C developer, and as Go kind of came about and the type of work that I typically do, more of the kind of like web application slash backend support type of applications. Yeah, Go really, like, it's sung to me. Plus, I also have a personal curiosity for concurrency, distributed computing, those types of things. So it's just like this big old package that I just love. So you like, sounds like Yoda when declaring variables.
Register ping pong, you will, or fall into the darkness.
That was more of a Kermit. That was definitely less Yoda and more Kermit.
I don't have any money, but what I do have is a language with concurrency.
Good enough. Thank you, Morgos, and welcome to the stream. Why didn't you get into Rust? You know, I think that's probably because I didn't do a whole lot of systems development. Most of the C work that I did was CLIs, and I did try to get into operating systems development and that kind of stuff, but I mean, my day job was in web applications. Prior to that, it was a lot of freelancing and doing some like random bits and bobs of random C-based CLI tools. Hannylicious, thank you for the follow, mate. I appreciate that. We do have digital lab coats here in the lab, and definitely welcome. Unfortunately, they are custom sized, but they're also digital, so you know, kind of up to you to make them fit properly. Really, Frank, welcome back to the lab, mate. Good to see you. We are struggle bussing with how to actually do the commands. Fits well? Perfect. Let's see here. So, quick overview for the Raiders, just so you guys have an idea as to what's going on. So we have up to this point connected to Twitch IRC. We were receiving messages, seeing chat go by, all that fun. We then pushed everything into, in terms of IRC communication, we pushed that into an IRC struct. Effectively, we made our IRC client, if you will. And this just contains a number of helper functions, such as the connection properties, reading to, writing from, and a bunch of the kind of standard commands, send pass, send nick, join, priv message. And what we're currently working on is the automation of the ping pong that Twitch IRC currently requires. So if Twitch sends us a ping, we better send back a pong, otherwise we get yeeted right out the window. And I don't like getting yeeted out the window. It's painful. The last stream and today's stream, we are working on this kind of bot abstraction on top of IRC, where previously we had a lot of our quote-unquote business logic in this one giant Go routine that sat in main.go, which was fantastic to look at, by the way. Now we are attempting to create a bot abstraction that is going to be more or less our mediator between IRC messages and the things that we want the bot to do, which brings us neatly to the idea of ping pong and the ping pong handlers. So, let's see here. I'm starting to come around to this idea of this bot.register handler. This would allow us to hide the implementation detail of how the bot is actually receiving these messages. And for all intents and purposes, we could run these functions as Go routines. We could still have that that concurrency. All we would have to do is send that struct back to the bot, and then the bot would effectively just in its Go routine send off a bunch of these messages. So you would call all the handlers on a new message? Exactly, 715. The thought here being something kind of sort of like this. So inside of read chat, when we receive a message on the channel, instead of when we receive a message from the client, instead of sending that message to a channel, we could effectively just do something like what do we want to say? For consumers is to range of consumers, assuming that consumers was a slice of functions, for example. We could say go consumer, whoops. And the assumption there would be that consumer is a function, so we would just send the message to that consumer. Mind you, this is kind of there's some considerations here that I think we would need to be mindful of. The assumption here is that a consumer is a very short-lived operation, so we would have to be a little careful on just blanket broadcasting, but I think that could work. So bot registers listeners like a pub sub. Exactly. The parallel that we were drawing was on the way that Go does HTTP handlers. So you have your HTTP server, and then you have http.handlefunc. And all that really does is register a path and then a function that is called whenever something comes in on that path, that function is called. Kind of the same pattern. I think it's actually exactly the same pattern, except there's no selector. It's just when a message comes in, off you go. Zero, how you doing, mate? Thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. We are futzing around with stuff, which I think is a most apt description of software development. Which, by the way, Raiders, just as a disclaimer, if you will, so I am a developer by trade. That is my day job. The point of this stream is not so much to immediately show how things are done and showcase like the right way to do it, because I don't believe in, I've been doing this for way too long. I don't believe in the right way of doing things. I believe in the most applicable way based on the information that we currently have, as I like to put it. So the purpose of this stream is basically just to futz around, make it work, make it right, make it pretty, in that order, preferably, and just see where we get, show the actual struggles of software development, break this facade that everything just comes to you immediately and you know exactly what to do as soon as you sit down and grab a task. In my experience, that is not how software development works, so I just kind of wanted to showcase that here on stream. Do you also have a blog to follow along with these videos? So I do have a blog, but I don't have anything that follows along with those videos. But that's an interesting idea. Zero, you have given me food for thought. I will drop this in the chat. It is very sparse at the moment, so don't expect a whole lot of content. Absent762, thank you so much for the follow, mate. Appreciate it. Welcome to the lab. Again, your digital lab coat will be delivered to you asynchronously. Whether it fits or not, different discussion. Programming is 90% smashing head on table and 1% programming. Wait, isn't the programming part the smashing the head onto keyboard? Whoops. I think I got that mix wrong. Perfect is the enemy of good. Exactly, Absinthe. I don't believe in perfect code because I've seen the type of code that makes it into production. And I've seen the money that code makes, so just saying. I mean, this is a field I kind of want to work in as well, so I'd love to learn as much as I can here. Fantastic, mate. I will also say, I do have a Discord. I'm not very active on it. I don't really foster the same kind of Discord community that the proper streamers like Sorcery or Spooky do. So it's one of those, like, it's there, but I do have a dedicated Q&A channel, or you can just reach out to me directly. I love talking to people that are trying to get into this field, especially if you have questions about anything. Feel free to reach out, mate. I'm a recovering senior systems admin turned DevOps platform engineer. Welcome, Epson. I'm going to apologize in advance. So I am not a DevOps engineer. I'm a developer that kind of paid attention to DevOps. So that basically has manifested in I Dockerize all the things. I don't necessarily do that in the most optimal way. That is something that we are working on stream. And eventually I hope to get into things like, oh, here's a multi-stage Docker file. Hey, let's go and deploy that to my Kubernetes cluster that's running in AWS. But I am not up to speed on some of the, like for example, Istio. If you have messed with Istio or any of the service mesh providers, whoosh. Again, I was a C developer, so I kind of turned into that person that really favors simplicity, and I only bring in complexity when I know I need complexity. And don't forget the most important rule. No questions are dumb questions. Curiosity is golden in the lab. Yes, I do not believe in dumb questions. I do not believe that there is a dumb question that you can ask. So I don't believe in them. Every question is an opportunity to sate curiosity. So please ask them. But DevOps is kind of my dream job. That is so cool. And I would love to chat about that, so absolutely. All right. Do typewriters eat their young? Yes. Okay, so there's an idea here. There's a potential idea here. Are you using Vim? And if so, do you have a Vim RC I could have a look at? Yes, I am, and yes, I do. Oops, not .file, .files. There it is. My .files are published on GitHub. I am using Vim, specifically Vim with COC, which is my kind of completion environment of choice. Warning, most of my Vim RC is inspired by the Primogen. So, you know. Hello to the fellow DevOps peeps here. Sorry, can't think of one. Welcome back to the stream, mate. BT Dubs, sorry, can't think of one, is a mate of mine in real life, and he is a DevOps engineer. We worked together, and he is a fantastic DevOps engineer. Just sir. So, alrighty. I did DevOps for 20 plus years. I mean, to be real, like, we just called that being responsible for your code. Yeah. Been using Vim for some time now. Got told by a friend to use NeoVim. Do you think it's worth switching to it? I mean, I've heard some really good things about NeoVim. I personally haven't had a need for NeoVim, at least to the extent that I haven't really known that I need NeoVim. But I am definitely curious. If you do make that switch, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on it. I mean, Vim, like Vim 8.2, I can't remember the patch version that I'm on, but Vim 8.2 has been phenomenal for me. COC is great. We called it working at a small shop, so people just had to wear many hats. Exactly. I was always on the development team that had to support their app in production. We may have had infrastructure people that gave us they gave us our virtual machines, or they gave us our environment. I did have a couple of on-prem gigs, and that was not particularly great. What was it? Oh no, sorry, I can't think of one. I can't think of the name. Prior to Kubernetes, the virtualization platform that I used to use. Holy crap. That's going to bother me. There was Mesos, but then before that, OpenStack. That's what it was. We had the distinct pleasure of having an OpenStack environment allocated to us. And oh, I abused the crap out of OpenStack. Let's see here. this whole time. Sorry. Red scry. But you know what, sorcery? That's kind of fair. Rancher. Did mess with Rancher for a short time, but didn't really get too far with it. We kind of jumped directly from OpenStack to a Hadoop environment, so we effectively just kind of blew out the need for infrastructure. All of our jobs became Hadoop jobs for a little while, MapReduce jobs. Thank God we swapped over to Spark jobs. Like, we jumped over to Apache Spark when Apache Spark was 1.1, I think. 1.1 or 1.2. And then from there, Docker, Docker Swarm, Kubernetes. Mesos, I can't recall if Mesos had a Docker environment, but that whole world just kind of started blowing up, so we immediately jumped into it. Let's see here. I get to help merge a HashiStack, Nomad Console Vault cluster, and a Docker Swarm cluster into Kubernetes. That kind of sounds a little fun, though. Not gonna lie. Like, Kubernetes is, from a developer that has to maintain their code most of the time, Kubernetes has been a godsend. Like, the fact that I don't have to install Zephyr anymore, fantastic. Like, yeah. Okay. I'm having so much fun with it. Like, this is why I do this. I just love having these types of conversations. It's just so fun. So, if we were to go with this approach, then what I think that does is that eliminates the need for a message channel. And instead, what it creates is a need for consumers, which is really just a slice of funcs that takes an irc.message. And so if that be the case, then really all we would need, in this case, we would, instead of messages, this would be consumers. And this would be, do we have to do that? I can't recall. Say we'll do an initial initialization of 5, something to that effect. Or maybe we don't need to do that. Maybe we just need to do. Maybe instead of make, we just do that. I haven't quite gotten to the reason for make versus. I feel like make was to create an array, like a sized array. It's hard to find a nerd stream, so I'll ask another dumb question. Are you into ham radio? I have not heard of ham radio. But I am now curious. Do tell. Let's see here. So we have our consumers, we have our connect, we have our close. I feel like register would probably make sense to come down here. This would be a method. We want this to be register handler. And this would be the consumer, which is a func that receives an irc.message. And then in this case, it would just be append bot.consumers consumer. Am I reading that right? Did I do that right? Append. Maybe. I might have forgotten how to do the append. Amateur radio, you get a license from for most couriers, and that usually levels for them. So I did see something pop up on. Was it Hacker News? It might have been Hacker News. I started to see something about Yeah, I started to see something pop up about amateur radio broadcasters and how it's kind of had a bit of a heyday, at least in recent past. But no, personally, I've not really gotten into the into that realm. I've more just kind of been passively looking at it because it keeps popping up and it seemed interesting. Let's see here. I feel like I might be doing something bad. Yeah, I'm definitely doing something bad here. Okay, so say back when I was a kid, my grandpa got me into that's so cool. Like, just spread the nerd, which is a fantastic and terrible phrase. Like, spread the nerdisms around. It's just fantastic. Append to slice, which, by the way, Raiders and anybody new in chat, this is more or less what I mean. When I say that this is attempting to be a representation of actual coding, I'm going to be Googling the crap out of stuff. I am not an expert in Go in any capacity, so it is going to take me a little bit to get to. Okay. Append bot.consumers consumer value of type IRC is not used. Oh, right, because it's a return. No new variables on the left side of. Does it literally just want me to do that? Oh, no. I remember now. Aha. Consumers equals append and then bot.consumers equals consumers. However, we do have to do a lock and unlock for that. So considering the time of the stream, I'm guessing you are not around Europe. I was wondering because I wanted to ask if you heard of EMS Camp in the UK. I am not in Europe. I am an American. I'm on the East Coast of America. So right now it is 6 p.m. for me. Hi, Marvel. Welcome to the stream, mate. Welcome back to the lab. How you doing, man? Was gonna say Canadian because of the H. Yeah, so I have a number of I say things weird. Is the most American way that I could think to say that. Apparently, I have a very strange mix of words. I have some tendencies that are Canadian or British. Of course, I have a little bit of my Southern American that comes out at times. I'm just a weird mix of things. I think they called it a speech sponge. The way that I just kind of take on various things. Like, I take on various phrases and the way to say things. It drives most of my friends crazy, but you know. Okay, so real quick. So there is there's a bit of a potential problem, which is that we are outside of the constructor. We are mutating the consumer's slice, which would potentially be okay if we weren't completely overwriting it down here in register handler. So this piece right here, whenever I see this code, especially when it comes from whenever I see this, my immediate instinct is to do some kind of a mutex lock. And I don't know if I really want to do that or not. You can append it directly. I don't think so, because the form of append looks like this, which is more or less the append function. It takes the slice and the elements that you want to append, and then it returns a new slice containing all of the elements of the original slice plus the provided values. I feel like they've done some optimizations to that, though, in terms of like you may actually be getting the same slice but dynamically allocated to be bigger. But yeah, you effectively you're creating a new slice and then you're assigning it back. So functional in a sense, but at the same time, you now are kind of potentially in lock territory. So my initial instinct was to embed the sync.mutex. Ash Bash the Fash. Oh my goodness, that is a fantastic name, and thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the lab, mate. Your digital lab coat will be delivered to you shortly. Access and key cards are available on request. Access to the lab is available through Discord, and we accept all participants, lurkers, everybody in between. Everybody that comes to the lab is welcome. So, this is called embedding, by the way. I'm effectively embedding fields of the mutex into my bot struct, which allows me to do something like this. Bot.mutex.lock. Do the thing. Bot.mutex.unlock. So I don't actually have to initialize a mutex inside of the bot. Whereas what would be typical inside of, say, an old school struct or late for a work meeting, catch you around. Cheers, Morgos. Thank you so much for stopping by. Have a good one and good luck. Always wanted a lab coat. We have a number of them. Whether they fit or not, different discussion. Does it block on trying to get the lock? Yes, it does. So actually, let me pop down to sync.mutex. That's not what I wanted to do. Locks the lock M. If the lock is already in use, then the calling grow routine blocks until the mutex is available. So this is one of the things that was kind of giving me a bit of pause as to whether or not I actually wanted to include the mutex. Because it kind of makes you wonder if there's any reason to concurrently register a handler. And I don't think the answer is yes. This is more just me kind of being safe. And the assumption is that if you're constantly doing this inside of the main function, well, then ideally you're just adding and you're just locking and unlocking in the main function as part of your setup, which didn't really seem bad, but we'll see. We'll have to gauge this decision for sure. Are all Twitch bots written in Go? Definitely not. There are. Let's see here. I have seen JavaScript, Go, and what was the other one? I think there was a couple of Python Twitch bots that I saw that were written in Python. Sorry, my brain just doubled over on itself there. But Twitch, the IRC protocol, since it's just plain old IRC, you can connect to it with a wide range of programming languages. TwitchBot and Bash needs to happen. Now that is scary. All it is just like a WS cat and a bunch of bash functions just processing input. Oh man. Actually, I'm kind of curious. I think it would be an interesting question to ask. What language doesn't have the capabilities to do a bot? Or better yet, which language would you not want to build a bot in? Let's see here. Okay. So if we register our handler like this, invalid operation cannot call non-function consumer variable of type int. Oh, right, because it's underscore consumer. Because underscore, the first element is the index, and then the second element is the consumer function. Sorry, can't think of one. Did you just say a Twitch bot in Ruby? Did you just say that to me? After everything that you just watched me go through over the last couple of months? I thought we were friends, man. I grew up learning hardware, so assembly is not that bad. Assembly is not terrible to me. Now, am I productive in assembly? Oh god, no. No. But assembly has always been interesting to me. Like, that level of power. And also, bit flipping is just fun. Triggered, exactly. R would probably not be the best for a Twitch bot, maybe. But would you want to write a Twitch bot in assembly? Now that is the question, Absinthe. That is the question that I think we should all ask ourselves. Twitch bot in Haskell. Haskell has always been that, like, I've always had people that when they find out that that I was a Scala developer, and technically I still am. Just don't get a lot of Scala at work these days. But when they found out that I was a Scala developer, they were like, so, Scala, so you couldn't make it in the Haskell community? Like, no, I was too much of a functional programming scrub. They didn't want me. No, most of the Haskell developers that I met were lovely. Okay. We might have the potential here. We might have the potential. Scholar? Oh, the first sin? No, Marvel, I am not playing Dark Souls. It is not happening. I am living my Dark Souls experience vicariously through sorcery, which, if you all are interested in fantastic Dark Souls content, then check out Sorcery and Sarcasm. She is a fantastic streamer. She has a wholesome community and is pretty damn good at the Souls games. Just saying. Thankfully, we are out of that cancer of a game, Dark Souls 2. I said it. I said it. I'm sorry, Marvel. I said it. Boop. All right. Read chat. We get a message. For each consumer, we basically spawn off a go routine that calls that consumer with the message that we provided. In effect, this is the functional version of PubSub in some capacity. Programming is actually like Dark Souls? Yeah. You know, you're not wrong. Programming is like Dark Souls when you find out that there's an adaptability trait. I will never let that go. I'm sorry. I can't. I can't not. Okay. So just to do a quick summary of the massive stream that we just went down. So when the bot connects, it connects to the client, assuming that succeeds. If error does not equal to nil, we basically fail out and we return the error. Otherwise, we start our read chat go routine. The read chat go routine will sit there and read messages coming out of the client, which is this right here. That's this for loop here. Blah. And then once we receive a message, we basically just broadcast that message out to any consumer that is registered with our handler. So register handler. Oh, geez. That autocomplete is that autocomplete's a little wonky. I may have to look into that later. Register handler registers a function that will be called when a message is received. Registers a function that will be called concurrently when a message is received. Important distinction. Golang is obviously a Dex build. Hey, Marvel. Ah. Sorry, I can't think of one. This is why we're friends. Just saying. Okay. So we have our register handler. And I saw this garbage. And so we can get rid of this code. That code was stuff that we weren't really looking into. I don't think anything... Oh, no, read stream func is a thing. Although... Yeah, now we actually aren't going to need the read stream func, because this would now be a handler. Taikabmo? I probably butchered that, and I apologize intensely. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the lab. Your digital lab coat will be available on pickup on request, and we do have access cards available if you should require access into the lab. That rainbow sheep... Ash, like, that rainbow sheep is just, it keeps me alive, it keeps me going, just like the matcha tea and the coffee keeps me alive and keeps me going. Okay, so this needs to be a handler. Proceeds to delete the function that and crashes the whole system. Doll, you be passing that bad juju onto me. And you know what? I'm okay. I'm okay with it. All right, so let's take this read stream func and let's make this a handler. Bot, we want to call this just the read handler. Probably we'll call it something else at some point, but for right now, we'll just have the read handler, package bot, func, ooh. COC's been struggle bussing a little bit with this code tonight. Oi, Midge, it's a horror. How you doing, horror? Thank you so much for coming by. Welcome back to the lab. So in this case, we would have a func. Now, how did I do this on the other one? Support has arrived. Horror heard me talking smack about the Dex builds. Let's see here. How did I do it in ping pong? Yes. So I was having a pause there because I was thinking about how I was actually going to do this. I also noticed that I didn't capitalize the P in Pong. Might come back to that. Func register, and this would be the register read logger is actually what I want to call this. And all this is going to do, this code is actually in main.go. All this code does is it reads that message and it plops it out onto the console. So so I should probably call this the log handler. Register handler message is of type irc.message message.string. And then we do need our log.printf that looks like that. Let's see here. And then we want to do something like that. Maybe? That might be what we want to do. Let me catch up with chat. Dex strength is better. If you'll excuse me now, I need to hide from Marvel. Doll, you need to run. Like Marvel and horror are going to pounce. Let's see here. Just a little observation. You are not locking the mutex while iterating over consumers in read chat. If you don't intend to register more handlers after reading is started, it shouldn't be an issue. Oh, ooh, really, Frank? You have a point there. Thank you for that. But does it still run at the moment? I don't think so, because we haven't actually initiated our handlers yet. But really, Frank brings up an interesting point. So I'm technically mutex locking and unlocking on the register step. So the register handler here, I'm doing a lock and an unlock to append to the consumers. But then when I do my iteration, my range over the consumers themselves, I don't lock and unlock the mutex. So yeah. That does bring up an interesting question, though. And really, Frank, you're kind of touching on something that I was pondering from earlier. Is it really necessary to lock and unlock those handlers? Or better question, is it really necessary to enable... Is it really necessary to enable this register handler? Or is it necessary to enable the capability to register handlers on the fly, I think is what I meant. I think the answer is no at this point. Do you really need the mutex, though? Exactly, 715. That really, Frank and 715 are making me double back on the idea of using a mutex, because what we're probably going to end up doing maybe in the new or maybe in Connect, like here we're gonna have to register these handlers somewhere, and at the moment it would just look like register. What are we looking for? So we would do bot dot register handler. There we go. Register ping pong. And then bot dot register handler, register read logger. And then off of that, you would just go bot dot read chat. Technically speaking. You could panic in register handler if reading is started to catch future problems and drop the mutex. I just thought of something. If I did this, effectively all I'm really doing is I have these handlers kind of all over the place. And this is not really code that's going to be a library. It's not quite like http.handlerfunc, where... Yeah, like, it doesn't really make sense to do this, because what we could potentially do is we could just have these handlers set up in the constructor. And so that is kind of our way of... This would effectively be our way of registering. So register desired functionality, because we don't really have the need to toggle bot functionality on and off. If we ever did in the future, then maybe it would make sense to start thinking about like this mutex and the register being exposed and all this other stuff. But until... That's not really a problem that we have right now, and I don't really think that's a problem that we have to solve. Now, the caveat, though, that I am still pondering, at least 2 times as many written in Go as Ruby. Thank you, Absinthe. I appreciate the attempt to draw down the trigger, which it did help. So the thought that just popped into my head, though, really frank, was that doing this exactly 715, you won't be able to register outside of the bot. Okay, so let's go with the idea of registering externally. RVM is garbage. I will say, Dockerizing Ruby was the best thing that I did in my past role, because that got rid of RVM. And yes, if I had to write Ruby code, I started up a shell inside of that Docker container, fired up my Vim, and said, fuck it, this is what I'm doing. Bad times. Bad times. Okay. So, I want to go for the approach where you can register the bot handlers externally. So basically doing this, which does mean that we would do bot.mutex.lock here, and then bot.mutex.unlock. Which, by the way, there is a nifty Go version of bot.mutex.lock and bot.mutex.unlock. Remember our friend Defer? Defer is good. Defer is nice. And if I remember correctly, if this panics for some odd reason, this will still happen. I think that's... Is that right, really, Frank? I think that's still correct. I just don't remember. Bot.mutex.lock, defer, bot.mutex. Oh no, a panic would just explode everything. What am I thinking about? This is, I think, what I see more from Go developers. This is what I see more from what you call it. This is more for the C developers. Would it be better to hold the lock for the entire 4? I like the way you think. I like the way you think, 715. That would absolutely be, I think, better. Whether there's an actual optimization for that or not, that's a good question. Bot.mutex.lock, iterate over, mutex unlock. See? This is why I love having you guys here.
This is so much fun.
Oof, so much fun. Also, I basically you just caught me committing a cardinal sin, and I appreciate that. All right, so we got that. We got read chat, which now means that we need to go over to our handlers, and we need to change the handlers to this. This is what's going to allow us to register these functions externally. So register a handler to handle ping Pong message exchange. So we have that. Now this is complaining for something. Undeclared name MSG. That is because it is not message. There we go. And then we also need the read handler. And inside the read handler, same thing. Bot. Make it a method instead of a function. And then we just do like that. Let's see here. Prints messages to the console as they arrive. Well, just prints messages to the console. Short and succinct. Okay. All right. I forgot. What commands do I have available? Oh, okay. There's a thing that I was going to do with that, but for the life of me, I couldn't remember. But we do have commands. They're available through Streamlabs, but I think we are ready to launch 715. Let's see here. Let's do one more pass. Oh, also, I'm going to be annoying. I'm going to move bot read handler.go to bot logging handler. And we're going to track that. And I'm also going to move bot ping pong to bot ping pong, because I am one of those people. Oh, did that actually do anything? Bot ping pong. Oh, it's because I'm in the thing. Let's go to main.go. Okay. All right. Let's see if it works. Terminal. We need to source our access token and then go run main.go. Did I register them all? I think so. Well, I didn't register the command processor, but I did register the other pieces. Oh, did I think I missed something. Hang on. So we got bot.new, bot.connect, bot.close, bot.authenticate, bot.join. Unfortunately, not running yet. Let's see here. So we don't actually need to register desired functionality. Right. But I didn't actually do anything. I didn't actually call them, which is the problem. Yeah, so we're still back at that same problem. Because here, you still have to register that function. Let's see here. I'm curious, as a professional developer, how often do you start with tests and then write code to make the test pass versus adding tests after? It kind of depends. So I am a testing advocate in the sense that I believe that when you write code, you should write tests according to, you should write tests for that code. I'm not quite the TDD purist. My opinion has always been I don't care when you write the test as long as you are writing good tests. So obviously that's a little bit of a loaded statement because if you're not writing good tests, if you don't know what it means to write a good test, then But then at that same time, if you don't know how to write a good test, does it really matter if you write them before or after? I think the TDD purists will say yes, because, and I will agree, I think. TDD does kind of help you write better tests because your focus is on the feature and not on code that you've already written. I think I've just kind of fallen into that. I've fallen into TDD before, and it didn't really buy me anything. I ended up writing the same test that I write when I just write the code, and then when I write the code, my brain kind of disconnects, and I start writing tests from the requirements. I don't write tests from the code. I just happen to have the structures that I need in place so that I can actually write that test. But it does require a decent amount of diligence, so yeah, you kind of get a trade-off there, I think. I'm a big fan of good tests versus tests just written for the sake of coverage. I hate code coverage. I really do. Like, I would like it if it was universally it was universally accepted as not a measure of quality, but if it was accepted as a gut check for how comprehensive are your tests. But alas, need to head off now. If you don't mind, I'll ping you with some questions on Discord later. Absolutely, Zero. Ping me at any time. Is more than happy to chat with you. And thank you so much for stopping by the lab, mate. Hope you have a good one. We will talk to you here soon. We'll probably be stopping here in a little bit, so you shouldn't miss too much, I think. Let's see here. So, chat, more or less the problem that we're running into. Good night, mate. Have a good one. We have ping pong. So we have these register handlers, but these register handlers, they aren't really doing anything because we're not calling register ping pong anywhere. Now, what we could say, and I don't know that I like this idea. Since it says day 8, does that mean you're streaming every day around this time? Not every day, Ash. At the moment, I stream on Tuesdays and Fridays, starting at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. I just started a new job, so still kind of TBD as to whether or not that schedule sticks. I may have to push it back a little bit, but for the moment, it is Tuesdays and Fridays at starting at 4:30 p.m. So about 2 hours ago, depending on which time zone you're in. Now, the thought that I was having was that we could just instantiate this like so. This would need to be a public method instead of a private method. Now, bear with me. I think I'm going to have to test this. Good luck with the new job as well. Thank you, Ash. I appreciate it. Taking a step back to get out of being a tech lead / architect and be a senior dev for a little while. I've been so far away from the code for so long that I just had to come back. I couldn't leave it. I couldn't leave to be a lead anymore. I just miss it too much. So we definitely need. My brain just went bleh. Sorry. Okay, so this I'm unsure about. The register read logger. The thought here is that when you instantiate a new bot, I'm effectively picking and choosing which features I want to be enabled on the bot, which does mean that I kind of have control over, say, in a testing environment, I could say, well, I don't really care about read loggers. I don't really care about the command processors. I just care about the ping pong processor. So in a test, I could say bot.new and bot.register ping pong, and I basically have a bot that only responds to ping pong, which could be desirable, maybe. This also gives me the ability to register test handlers, so that I could basically inject a test check into the bot, which is an interesting idea. The only caveat is that if they don't register ping pong, then Twitch effectively is going to yeet them out the window, and that would be a very interesting bug to solve. So, but let's see if it works real quick. Yes, the good old dev life. Like, I've been a dev for so long. I genuinely believe that being a dev is my purpose in life. And when you take me away from the code, I'm just sad. Hey, server's back. So if we do our obligatory hello, do we get a world? No, because we don't have a hello world anymore. Oh, but we have the chat back. That's a start. And in theory, we have a ping pong running. I'll tell you what I'll do. I need to take a quick break. I need to get some more water, I think. Yeah, I need to get some more water. So let me take a quick break. I'm going to leave this up and leave it running for a moment, just to see if we get the ping pong. But I will be right back, so bear with. And I wish I had a... Oh, I do. Hang on. Boop. There you are. Man, I wish I could make that smaller. that's okay. We'll create a new thing here. the jankest of BRB screens, because I am a professional streamer. All right, give me just a sec, chat. I'll be right back. And we're back. Nilo, welcome to the stream, mate. Thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome back to the lab. Oh my goodness. Hey, me, I came to see Medj, not a crudely drawn work of art. Get Leonardo da Vinci online. I know, isn't it just the most majestic BRB that you've ever seen? Isn't it, though? I'm going to apologize in advance as well because I have opened the door because it is blazing hot in here and Tiny Cat is running around. Want to come say hi? Tiny Cat! Tiny Cat Cam! Tiny Cat Cam wanted to come by and see how crap of code I was writing, but you know what? That's okay. Tiny Cat is best project manager. Can you say hi? My night is made. Oh, Zelda. That is my kitten. She is one of 3. She is so sweet until she's not, and then she bites the ever-living crap out of me. Let's be nice. Wearing a hoodie and a jacket and a fluffy blanket, and I'm still cold. My dude, are you sitting in the middle of the Arctic? I have questions, my dude. All right, let's get the BRB out of here. Get out of here, BRB. Let's see here. Tiny Cat trying to jump into the trash can as she normally do. Which, by the way, unfortunately, yes, this is the test and prod approach. We need to write a test for this ping pong. We desperately need to write a ping pong for this. In the south of Africa, you know, that's kind of fair, Nilo. I would say that is absolutely a fair reason. Let's see here. Wouldn't it be better to register those commands in the constructor because you'll always have those? So that was what I was kind of juggling, 715. That is definitely one possible approach. And in fact, it might even make sense to put it in the constructor. The thought that I was having was if it made sense to have them externally. Because if you have them externally, then that means that in a test, for example, I could do bot.new, bot.register ping pong, and I would only get the ping pong handler, which might be ideal for a kind of like an isolated testing environment. But on the other hand, you could argue that maybe if you wanted that same setup, you just don't call bot.new in a test. Maybe you just instantiate the maybe you just instantiate the yieldy struct and then register your handlers manually. I'm not sure if I like that idea though. I don't usually like recreating constructors in tests, so yeah, I'm kind of on the fence for it. Which, by the way, I apologize, but I did get a glass of bourbon, so start of a new job. Celebrate with a glass of bourbon, because I am a crotchety old man that doesn't drink normal alcohol. Or at least that's what a lot of my beer drinking buddies always tell me. They tell me that why don't you drink the normal alcohol? It's like, but bourbon is delicious. Now that is a proper emote. Sorry, I can't think of one. Oh, I forgot about. Oh man, what was that? That was a Tox Machina episode. I think they did that. I don't think they'll ever let Matt live that down. Poor guy. Okay. Well, we're probably gonna shut the stream down here in just a second, because it has been a night, to say the least. But yeah, this has been a lot of fun. Like, so happy to have you all here. So happy to have people. This is effectively like group pair programming, and I love it. Love this stuff. There's the ping pong. Hey, we tested it in prod. Ship it. Geez, that took forever. I think what we should do though is we should end it on a test. Was a nice stream. See you next time. What a note to end on. I know. Thank you. And thank you, Ash. Thank you so much for stopping by. Appreciate you all coming. Welcome to the lab. Welcome to the chaos that is the lab. Actually, you know what? I forgot. I do actually need to be somewhere in about 10 minutes. So we will stop it here. I will make a note for myself, however, that the next thing that we're going to do is write tests for these bloody classes, because oh man, do we need it. Next time on Twitch Streamer Makes a Twitch Bot, he is going to write more Twitch functionality while streaming on Twitch, which is totally meta. Oh man. Well, we do also still need to re-implement the functions, because I am missing my hello world function. Like, you can't have code without the obligatory hello world, so this is making me sad. But yes, we are gonna leave it. We are gonna leave it here for right now. So, thank you all so much for joining. I do appreciate you all being here. Obviously, my English just goes out the window whenever I try to say that. Med, you're like Twitchception. Kind of, yeah. It's too meta of a stream. But thank you all so much for joining. I hope you all have a good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it may be for you. And I will see you all in the next stream. Take care, everybody.